Hi, hello, welcome to the episode. Um, I just want to have a quick conversation about marriage. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. And there's something that I've realized about marriage that I feel like a lot of people probably don't understand or take for granted or think that it doesn't matter. I've always wondered why um, getting married changes a relationship. Um, there's the notion nowadays that a relationship can be committed but no marriage. And I guess I understand that because marriage does something to a relationship. And it's always been a mind-boggling thing to me because it sort of makes marriage look like this difficult thing that is not necessary, this thing that you don't really have to do to be able to have a fulfilling and happy relationship. And I'm still in the process, just battling with God about marriage, the purpose of it, the importance of it, the need and the necessity for it, especially in this day and age where there's so many definitions, so many definitions of what a relationship is or what a commitment is. And one of the things that I realized about marriage that seems like a big thing to me, so much so that people do not really want to get married or do not want to get to take their relationship that step forward. They can live together for years. They can own properties together. They can own things together and they can be basically in a partnership but not tied maritally in the legal sense, in the matrimonial sense, like married, they got married by a reverend or a pastor or by the courts. Basically, they can do everything in a partnership together in a relationship, committed relationship, but not married. Right? I'm losing my train of thought, but there's one thing that I realized that marriage does that I feel like is sort of like one of the biggest things that contributes to marriage changing a relationship, regardless of how long people have known each other, how long they've been together. And I think that's the mysterious thing. The Bible describes like marriage and the marriage relationship as a mystery that depicts the relationship between Christ and the church, right? So, this thing is that I've realized is that marriage is a huge mirror, right? And some of us choose to look in the mirror, see what the mirror is showing us, and deal with it. Some of us don't look in the mirror and we look around it, we look over it, we look under it. We don't look in the mirror because we don't want to see what the mirror is showing, or we don't want to understand what the mirror is showing, or we are afraid of what the mirror is saying about us. We basically are hiding from what the mirror is projecting to us about us. Some of us don't even know that there's a mirror, so we feel like this whole marriage thing is just too much. It's not necessary. It's hard. It puts a strain on the relationship. You get married, and suddenly there's a world of problems that comes your way. And so I think that because of that, that's why your relationship will change. You can be together with a person for 10 years, 15 years, 11 years, 9 years, 7 years, 2 years, 6 months, and you add marriage as the defining factor of the relationship. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but you add marriage onto that, and the relationship takes a whole different form. And I don't know, it does something to you as a person where you either change and grow, or you don't, essentially. I'm trying to think of how I can best explain. For instance, if you get married, let me make an example with me. I got married predominantly because I grew up in a very male dominated family. I had a strict father, and I did not like male authority, and I thought that the only way to be able to escape my family and my father, his authority, would be to get married. And I thought that that would give me another family, and I didn't realize that that would give me another authority over my life, and over and above that, it would give me another male authority over my life. So, in as much as I thought that marriage would be an escape for me and a solution for me, it was just me moving from one man's authority to another man. But my move from my dad's authority to my husband's authority, I moved in with the same mindset of this is what a man is, based on what I saw when I was growing up, what I saw with my dad, what I saw with the males in my family, what I saw with the males growing up. I had that mindset of this is what a man is, and I had a protective approach towards interacting with men, and that included my husband. So I acted and treated my husband in a way that was a protective mechanism for me, because I'd lived with males for so long, and I developed a way to protect myself from them, their maleness, their masculinity, their toxic masculinity, and all of that. So I treated my husband with the same mindset and the same attitude. I did not treat him as a man I loved and married. I did not treat him as a man that chose me to be his wife. I treated him as a man based on what I knew a man to be, because based on what I saw men to be in my family and what men were in my family. Yeah. So then when I got married, and I realized that the marriage was mirroring to me that I see a man as this, and I'm projecting this attitude and this image and this understanding that I have of what a man is on my husband, and it's not helping the relationship. It's not helping the marriage. It's basically sinking it, because that's not how a wife is supposed to see her husband, right? So it took me a while to accept that that was my mindset. It took me a while to accept that was where my headspace was about my own husband. That's what I was thinking about him, without even knowing it, without even thinking that I'm thinking about it. But that's how I saw him. That's how I viewed him, and that's how I reacted to him. I hope that makes sense. So when that became evident to me, because we started having things popping up in our marriage, and started having issues popping up in our marriage, and I wouldn't understand. I'd be triggered by him doing things or saying things or being a certain way. It would remind me of my dad, or a guy in my family that did this, or the way someone in my family who's a male said it this way. So I'd get triggered by him a lot, and I couldn't understand why. But the marriage we got to be close enough, and we got to spend enough time together for me to be able to have that mirror in front of me, and I could say that, oh, this is my attitude. This is how it's affecting how I view my husband. This is how it's affecting how I view this relationship. And this relationship does not work if I see my husband this way. And based on that, then I had to go through a transformation of the mind. I had to change my attitude towards men, towards my husband, which is still ongoing. It's not done, which is still something that is still happening, but that's what I had to do. So I think that this whole notion towards marriage nowadays is maybe because we don't understand the power that marriage has to shine the spotlight on you as a person, and what you do with that when you're faced with the reality of who you are, when you're faced with the reality of what you're thinking, when you don't even know that you're thinking it, when you're faced with the reality of things that traumatized you and now they're coming back up. When you're faced with the reality of who you are, marriage is that mirror that just spots on, and it sort of puts issues that you've things that you've grown up with, things that you've become accustomed to, things that you've accepted, things that you've thought are good or thought are bad. The marriage shines a light on them, and you can choose whether or not to take that as a good thing or a bad thing. But I think we mostly take it as a bad thing, and we decide that marriage is hard and it's not necessary. It's just what do you call? It's just a paper from the government, or you just stand in front of people you don't even like and say vows. But like I said, the Bible says that the marriage relationship is mysterious, and it's sort of like a metaphor or a depiction of the relationship between Christ and the church. So yeah, do with that what you will. And I would like to send out something that says stop hating on marriage, try and understand it, give it a fair chance before you decide that it's bigoted, old fashioned. It's not necessary, it's not important, just give it a fair chance. And in you giving it a fair chance, do that with God, because you can go to God and ask him anything about marriage, and I promise you that he will give you an answer, or do something that will make you understand it a different way, that will make you see things a different way. He will be able to change your perspective. So stop hating on marriage, try and understand it. Thank you. Bye.